Hello, loyal Celtic supporters. Today we are diving deep into the latest from Celtic, and it's a story full of frustration, questions, and a glimmer of hope. Last night was another tough night at home as we fell 3-0 to Roma. It's hard to watch, and I know many of you are feeling the same sense of disappointment, especially seeing the team under the new management of Wilfried Nancy. Now, Nancy hasn't been in the hot seat long, and there's been a fair bit of criticism, much of it unfair. People question him because he's French, because he coached in the MLS, and somehow that's meant to undermine his understanding of what Celtic represents. But let's be honest, the mess we're in isn't entirely his fault. A lot of it falls squarely on those running the club in the first place. Mismanagement, poor planning, and a lack of coherent strategy have left him with a team that's struggling to find consistency. And yes, there are fans who, frankly, want him to fail, almost as a way to prove they know better. That kind of cynicism doesn't help anyone, least of all the players. Yet, last night, it wasn't Nancy who let Celtic down. It was the players themselves. Watching them in the first half, it was clear there was a lack of commitment, a lack of effort, and it's hard to see past that. These are players who have shown moments of brilliance in the past, yet recently some of them seem to have lost confidence, or worse, motivation. Time and again, the ball was lost too easily, passes went astray, and there was no fight to regain possession. It wasn't about the tactical system. It wasn't about the opposition being superior. It was simply a lack of work ethic on the pitch. In a league as physical and demanding as Scotland's, that kind of lethargy is unforgivable. For a new manager coming in, there's usually what's called a bounce, a spark that lifts the team. But in this case, it almost felt like the opposite. Players appeared sluggish, disinterested, and at times completely passive. The first half was littered with examples: jockeying for the ball, holding off challenges, creating space, all of it just not happening. Defenders were left stranded, midfielders stuck, and forwards weren't pressing as they should. The stats reflect what our eyes saw. Celtic was outworked, outfought, and ultimately outclassed in effort. That's a concern because no manager, however capable, can succeed without a team willing to put in the hard yards. And yet there were glimpses of what could be. The second half showed a slight shift, particularly with the introduction of players like Bernardo and Iheanacho. Suddenly there was energy, movement, and a willingness to take responsibility. Bernardo, in particular, showed strength and composure, running box to box, holding players off, and distributing the ball effectively. That energy forced Roma to adjust, and we began to see openings and opportunities that simply weren't there in the first half. Iheanacho had a couple of chances, one of which he probably could have done better with, but the effort was clear, the drive was there, and that's the kind of performance that can start to rebuild confidence. It's difficult to watch some of the other players, though. Benjamin Negron and Sebastian Tenetti, summer signings, continued to struggle. Negron, in particular, has been frustrating, repeatedly losing the ball and failing to apply pressure when it matters most. These are players who need to step up or risk losing their place, and it's clear that some may not have the drive or ability to handle the physicality and intensity of Scottish football. Similarly, Dane Maida shows flashes, but inconsistent performances mean the team struggles to find rhythm when he's involved. It raises questions about recruitment strategy, player attitude, and ultimately the responsibility of management to ensure the squad can cope with league demands. What's encouraging is seeing players respond when they're pushed. Bernardo's work in midfield freed up Callum McGregor, allowed others to find space, and created a more dynamic attacking option. That's what Celtic needs. Players who can read the game, press intelligently, and maintain composure under pressure. We saw that fleetingly in patches during the second half, but consistency is missing. Effort, focus, and commitment need to be there from whistle to whistle because otherwise results will continue to disappoint. The cup final and upcoming league games are crucial. Nancy has to instill a sense of urgency, responsibility, and pride. Winning matches isn't just about tactics, it's about attitude, determination, and resilience. Looking ahead, squad depth is another pressing concern. The bench doesn't inspire confidence, which limits options when injuries or suspensions occur. January presents an opportunity for reinforcements, but even now the responsibility falls heavily on those in the starting 11. Players need to show they can handle the intensity, the physical battles, and the mental pressure. Without that, no amount of managerial skill can compensate. And while we can find positives in isolated performances, Bernardo, Iheanacho, glimpses from Hitati, the overall picture is worrying. Commitment seems uneven, and until that changes, Celtic will continue to struggle against teams who are well-drilled and hungry to capitalize on any lapse. Even with challenges, there's still potential. New players coming in January, a focused cup final, and injured players returning could change the dynamic, but the fundamental requirement remains: effort. Players have to give everything, whether it's a tough challenge, a quick recovery, or a clever pass. Without that foundation, talent alone won't be enough. Watching the Roma match, it was clear that effort was uneven at best. Yet, those who stepped up in the second half demonstrated what's possible if focus and energy are applied consistently. That is the blueprint Celtic needs to follow, especially under Nancy's management. The team must embrace intensity, cohesion, and a never-say-die attitude, or we risk another season of frustration. The road ahead isn't easy. The league is unforgiving, the cup final is looming, and Roma exposed weaknesses that will need urgent attention. Confidence must be rebuilt, players motivated, and the tactical plan executed with precision. At the same time, Nancy must make decisive choices, rewarding effort and holding underperforming players accountable. The pressure is intense, but that's what Celtic requires: a combination of management acumen, player buy-in, and a relentless drive to succeed. Fans can be impatient, but change is possible if the effort on the pitch matches the potential within the squad. We've seen what happens when players don't give their all. We've seen what happens when effort is half-hearted. But we've also seen glimpses of brilliance, energy, and commitment that give hope. The next few weeks will be pivotal. How Nancy manages the team, the decisions he makes regarding lineups, substitutions, and strategy, and how the players respond will determine whether Celtic can regain momentum. Every match is a test, every minute an opportunity to show pride and determination. The cup final offers a stage to prove capability and character, and league matches will demand consistency and resilience. It's a challenging period, but it's also a chance for the team to define itself, to respond to adversity, and to build the foundation for a successful season. Fans will be watching closely, but more importantly, players need to take responsibility and perform with heart, skill, and intelligence. As we move forward, one of the biggest challenges for Celtic is consistency. Last night's match against Roma highlighted not just lapses in effort, but also moments of confusion and indecision on the pitch. Players looked unsure where to position themselves, hesitant and in pressing, and often too slow to react when the ball was in play. This isn't just a tactical issue, it's a mental one. Confidence has clearly been dented across the squad, and rebuilding that trust and understanding among players will be as important as any tactical adjustment Wilfried Nancy can make. It's a Scottish Premiership side in transition, and transitions are never straightforward, especially when morale is fragile. The first half was, for lack of a better word, disjointed. Passes were rushed or misdirected, ball control was sloppy, and the players' physical presence on the pitch left a lot to be desired. Roma, for all their ability, did not have to exert themselves fully because Celtic gifted possession far too easily. Every time the ball was lost, it felt like an invitation for the opposition to take control, and Celtic's midfield and defence seemed caught in a perpetual reaction mode rather than dictating play. The effort just wasn't there, and that's worrying. You can have a brilliant tactical plan, but without energy, determination, and willpower, it collapses. The glaring lack of fight was evident, and it's something that has to be addressed immediately if Celtic are to compete on both domestic and European fronts. Yet, the second half brought a change, however small, that hints at the potential within this squad. Substitutions brought renewed energy, with Bernardo and Iheanacho standing out in particular. Bernardo's ability to hold the ball, distribute effectively, and challenge physically created a ripple effect that allowed other players to step up. Iheanacho's movement and pressure forced Roma to make decisions they didn't want to make, opening pockets of space and giving Celtic glimpses of control they lacked in the opening 45 minutes. These are the moments that show what is possible when effort, intelligence, and desire are applied collectively. But the question remains, can these moments become a habit rather than a rarity? Consistency has been the Achilles heel of this squad for too long. The problem also lies in a number of individual performances. Benjamin Negron and Sebastian Tanetti, who were meant to provide depth and reliability, have struggled to make the impact expected of them. Negron, in particular, was beaten repeatedly, losing duels and failing to maintain composure under pressure. Tanetti, despite glimpses of ability, often seemed hesitant and disengaged. This inconsistency undermines the team, leaving gaps that Roma exploited with alarming efficiency. Players like Dane Maida show flashes of skill, but when those moments are sporadic rather than consistent, the overall team performance suffers. It's a stark reminder that recruitment and squad management are as crucial as coaching. The summer window left gaps that are being exposed, and unless addressed, these weaknesses will continue to haunt Celtic in big games. In terms of tactics, Nancy has to find a way to balance his philosophy with the realities of the squad he inherited. Celtic need energy, aggression, and discipline, but they also need creativity and intelligence in their build-up play. The first half against Roma showed a lack of structure, a failure to press effectively, and a hesitation in transition that allowed the opposition to dominate. The second half offered more hope, with players showing willingness to cover space, support each other, and apply pressure, but it was too little, too late. These glimpses of improvement must be built upon, and that responsibility falls squarely on both the players and the manager. They need to internalize the demands of each position, understand the system, and execute it with commitment. Looking ahead to the Cup final and upcoming league fixtures, Wilfried Nancy faces tough decisions: who starts, who comes off the bench, and how to rotate the squad without losing quality will all be crucial considerations. It's a period that will define not just the season, but Nancy's future at the club. Every player must be held accountable for their performance, and there can be no room for complacency. The days of coasting on reputation or previous form are over. Effort and consistency are what will be rewarded. Fans want to see a Celtic team that fights for every ball, presses intelligently, and takes responsibility for both defending and attacking. Anything less will simply not suffice. The upcoming fixtures will also test squad depth. Injuries, suspensions, and international call-ups will force Nancy to use his bench strategically. Players who have underperformed must be given the chance to prove themselves, but they must also understand that opportunities are not guaranteed. The likes of Taneki and Balakwisha, if available, will be evaluated not just on skill but on attitude and willingness to compete. The Scottish Premiership is unforgiving, and Europa League or Cup commitments only increase the pressure. Players need to embrace this challenge with a level of professionalism and commitment that has been lacking at times this season. Energy and effort have to be non-negotiable. Last night against Roma, it was clear that when players pushed themselves, ran into space, applied pressure, and used their bodies effectively, Celtic were able to regain control and create danger. But when they failed to do so, the opposition exploited every weakness. And this stark contrast shows that talent alone is insufficient. The mentality and application of effort are what separates success from failure. Wilfried Nancy has to instill that mentality, ensuring that each player understands their responsibility to the team, their role on the pitch, and the necessity of applying themselves fully for 90 minutes. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers have been swirling around the corridors of European football, and it seems the Celtic faithful might have something truly tantalizing to chatter about. According to well-placed sources, a deal has quietly been struck that could see a La Liga fullback donning the iconic green and white hoops, specifically to bolster the club's ambitions on the continental stage. While Celtic have long been a force to be reckoned with domestically, the European competitions have often proved a sterner test, and insiders suggest that this signing is a clear statement of intent. The player in question, whose identity remains shrouded in secrecy, has reportedly caught the eye with a combination of pace, defensive tenacity, and the ability to maraud forward with purpose, traits that would undoubtedly excite supporters at Celtic Park. There's talk that his arrival isn't just about shoring up the back line, it's about adding a new dimension to the team's tactical setup in Europe, where margins are fine and moments of brilliance can define campaigns. Fans have been quick to speculate on social media, debating how the Spaniard, or at least someone with La Liga pedigree, might fit into Ange Postecoglou's system. Could he be the missing link on the flanks, or will he be eased into the squad gradually to adapt to the Scottish pace and physicality? What's particularly intriguing about this rumour is the timing and purpose. Celtic have rarely shied away from bold signings, but there's a sense that this is more than just a squad refresh. Sources hint that the deal was driven by a desire to send a signal across Europe. Celtic mean business. If true, this could mark a turning point as the club looks to close the gap with some of the continent's more storied sides. The whispers also suggest that there's an element of secrecy around the negotiations, perhaps to avoid alerting competitors or inflating the player's value, naturally supporters are already imagining the possibilities. The buzz of a new signing with top-flight Spanish experience has sparked a flurry of speculation in pubs, forums, and the stands. The excitement isn't just about the player himself, it's about what his arrival could herald for Celtic's European journey. Could this be the spark that propels the Hoops into the latter stages of the competition? Or is it merely a tactical addition to a squad already packed with ambition? Only time will tell, but for now, the rumour mill is alive and buzzing, and Celtic fans have plenty to dream about. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.